Right, of course, this is our breaking news. If you missed it, Eskom just announced that stage 4 blackouts will be with us until Wednesday. The power utility says this is due to unlawful industrial action at various Eskom power stations that impacted planned maintenance and repairs. Let's speak to Eskom spokesperson Sikonati Mantshantsha now, who joins us now virtually. Sikonati, last week you said that the executive, rather, when they spoke, I think it was your COO, Jan Oberholzer, who said that the High Court has granted you an interdict against this unprotected strike. So I guess this is not working then. There's still people staging a stay away.
Safa, that is correct. A court interdict still has to be enforced, and that one requires the respondents to obey the court interdict, and two, the law enforcement agencies to indeed act to enforce the interdict. At this point, we still do have demonstrations at some of our plants, and let's remember it is weekend, so they are muted than they were during the week. But the coming week will the working week will definitely give us a great idea of the level of compliance or the absence thereof.
Mm. And which union, if any, has taken responsibility for this unprotracted strike?
For the very reason that this strike cannot proceed legally to an essential services company such as Eskom. No trade union has claimed responsibility or has indeed confirmed to Eskom that it has led its members out, but individuals and people working at power stations are actually staging demonstrations, and they are in some instances preventing the free flow of people and commodities into and outside of the power stations. There is no trade union that has come out to say we are on strike. However, there definitely are two trade unions that have that are engaging publicly on the matter, and one, NUMSA in particular, is indeed pushing ahead and telling people that there should be action against Eskom. It's calling employees and saying this is an insult what Eskom has offered. It has not, let's repeat that, it has not told Eskom that it has led its members on to strike, and the National Union of Mine Workers, they have been meeting, and indeed we see some of the demonstrators wearing regalia or colors belonging to those three trade unions. The fact of the matter, though, is that none of the trade unions have confirmed they are on strike.
Mm. Let's go back to the point of, it possibly being illegal for people to go protest, especially because Eskom actually offers essential services to the people of this country. What action are you going to take as Eskom? Are you still discussing that?
The most important point, Masejo, is that it is in the interest of Eskom, it is indeed in the interest of the labor unions to have an amicable resolution to this deadlock. Eskom is pursuing those options with the trade unions. We are constantly engaged with them, albeit informally, because there is a central bargaining forum process that must be followed. So the interdict against striking workers is only the first attempt. But the second part is that the management of Eskom is indeed in engagements with the leaders of the trade unions. But there is a formal process that must still be followed by Eskom or any of the parties to this dispute, and that is the CMA route, which Eskom has also embarked on.
Sikonati, Eskom did have problems prior to this protest taking place. Of course, we were placed on stage 2 first before anything because of generating units being faulty, etc. Now with this added, if you aren't able to get workers to get back to work, is there a possibility that we go to even higher stages than the highest we've been, which is stage 4?
Maseko, the first point indeed is for Eskom to admit that before this unprotected and unlawful labor action, the power system was already constrained, and Eskom was implementing load shedding at the stage 2 level. We have had to increase the stage 4 in anticipation of the current deadlock and indeed the unavailability of labor. So there are up to 8 stages of load shedding that could be implemented when the need arises. We do tell the people of South Africa that at short notice, depending on what the situation is, the load of load shedding may change in the stage. It may change. It could either go up or down. We have up to stage 8 load shedding that could be implemented only when the need does arise.
And you've never implemented this before. I mean, the current executive of Eskom is already being, judged as one of our worst because of the number of days of load shedding that we've had this year alone so far. And if you're telling us that, we could move up from stage 4, so there's possibly going to be nothing that Eskom can do if the strike continues to keep us away from seeing a stage 6, 7 or 8.
The reality of the matter is the decisions about the stage of load shedding get determined by the power plant itself, by the generation units, by the power stations. When the technical facts on the ground determine that we should increase the level of load shedding, then that is unfortunately the process that must be achieved. And the system operator by law is empowered to make those decisions and instruct all the distributors to reduce load. That can happen. I must state though, for one as a fact that stage 6 is the highest that has ever been implemented by Eskom, and that was during the first week of December 2019. We since then, load shedding has been limited to stage 4. And Eskom is doing everything that it can. The added pressure coming now from the illegal strike by some of Eskom's employees is really unnecessary, and it is not in the interest of all of South Africa. The people of South Africa are the ones suffering even before there was industrial action, and they do not need any additional pressure.
All right, Sikonathi, so you've been a journalist before. Just help me out. If the team right now behind the scenes quotes and says, Eskom spokesperson Sikonathi Mantshantsha says they are not ruling out the possibility of a higher level of load shedding, would they be wrong?
No one could, with any legitimacy, rule out any stage of load shedding. Eskom has been, for the past 2 years at least, publicly telling the people of South Africa that we have a severe shortage of generation capacity. Any disturbances such as the ones we are going through at this very point are putting additional pressure to that already fragile capacity. So the reality of the matter is things could go either way. Yes, of course, we are not being alarmist. We are telling the people of South Africa that up until Wednesday, as things stand at this very point, we will continue to implement stage 4 load shedding between 5 a.m. and midnight every day. And again, we do tell the people of South Africa that we'll keep them updated, and should things change at short notice, because they can, they can change for the better and they can change for the worst. We will definitely keep the people of South Africa informed.
There's something positive that I want to talk about in terms of Eskom and, the route that you are currently on in terms of making sure that there are those 18 private companies who hopefully will soon sign a service level agreement with the power utility so that they can use your land to give us other options. We've heard from energy experts, for instance, saying this could take up to 3 years. Obviously, South Africans are looking for a now solution. Is there anything that Eskom can do to shorten that 3 years to less? Because I think we both can agree that we really need a solution sooner than 3 years.
3 years would be the absolute maximum when things have really gone wrong or not gone according to plan. The reality is that within 18 months of the agreements being signed with these investors, they will be able to deliver 1,800 megawatts of capacity within 18 months. The 3 years that you are referring to is really an outlier, and that would be when things have seriously not gone according to plan. And of course, Maseko, let's add this. The people of South Africa will be getting the benefit of that 1,800 megawatts without a cent that they have to pay. There is not a cost to Eskom. There is not a cost to any public entity in this country. They will not be required to put any money up front. Instead, in fact, Eskom will make some money through the leasing of the land for the 20 years of the contracts. And let's confirm this again. The land remains the property of Eskom. For 20 years, those investors will pay lease fees to Eskom, and for 20 years, those investors will pay connection fees to Eskom in order to wheel, that's the term that the industry uses, to deliver the power to their customers wherever they may be. So it's a great development, and it shows what can be done when the market is liberalized and people are allowed to invest and close the gap that this country so desperately needs to close.
Sikunati Manjanja, Eskom spokesperson, thank you very much for speaking to us here on eNCA.